Hey guys, d0ntblink97 coming back here with another tank review. Today we're going to be doing the Tier 9 British tank destroyer, the Tortoise. Now, back when I first got this tank, it was an excellent vehicle because nobody knew how to kill it and it was very fresh in the game. I got the FB183 within, about 3 or 4 weeks of the British line being dropped way back when. So it's been a while since I played this tank rather, and the meta has changed a lot since this tank was last in my garage. So let's break this tank down first, and then we'll talk about how it's adapted to the new meta. So this is a Tier 9 tank destroyer. It'll put you back about 3.5 million credits, and it leads up from the AT-15. The grind on this tank is a little rough, to be honest. The first gun is okay. It's a 32 pounder with 214 millimeters of penetration, 246 with APCR, has a very good rate of fire at 12, very good stats, 1.7 second aim time, 0.33 accuracy. You have a 650 horsepower engine, and this is a very heavy tank. This tank definitely needs more horsepower than this. This is over a 70-ton tank, so keep that in mind. Now the next package gives you an option, but really you just want to go with this one. This is just going to give you the better traction that you need, because you need all the engine power you can muster in this thing. This is where the grind gets a little rough. This is where you get to the 20 pounder. This is a good and a bad gun. This is a good gun when you're top tier because 14 rounds a minute basically, plus if you have a Brothers in Arms, ventilation, gun rammer, this will be pumped up so much. And you have 0.3 accuracy, 1.5 second aim time, 226 pen, and 258 with premium, with 230 average alpha. This is a great perma-tracking vehicle and a great support tank with this gun. But if you get stuck in an all Tier 9 matchup, or you get stuck in a Tier 10 matchup, even with premium ammo, you're going to be struggling a lot with this gun. Now let's hop into the meat of the tank, the fully upgraded, and this is why I love this tank right here. First off, you get about 160 horsepower increase in your engine, which, you're still slow, but you're not T95 slow by any means. So you get bumped up to a Rolls-Royce Meteor M120 that gives you 810 horsepower. Next, you get the same gun that's on the Conqueror, and if you have the Conqueror, then that means your grind for this gun is just a little bit less. It fires 8.44 rounds a minute, which is monstrous for a 120 millimeter. This has one of the highest EPMs in the game, even surpassing most of the Tier 10 mediums. You have a 1.7 second aim time, which is just ludicrous in a gun like this. 0.31 accuracy, ludicrous again for a 120. 259 pen, which is very high for a 120, and 326 with APCR with 400 average damage on each. And because this is a later model British tank, you can fire HESH, which is basically your HE in this tank, but HESH on this tank has 120 millimeters of penetration. Now, if you play your cards right and you find yourself flanking lightly armored heavies or mediums, or you find an artillery or a light tank, 120 millimeters with 515 average damage can really deal some damage. Unfortunately, in the gameplay that I have, I don't have any examples of this because I was never given the chance to use it, but I would keep maybe 4 or 6 shots of HESH in your loadout, just because it can be situational. I would say no more than 4, because with HESH ammo, you can basically one-shot every artillery in the game, for instance, if you hit them in their weak superstructures. Now, the tank has a 22 degrees a second traverse, so this tank can easily be flanked by any sort of medium that's fast and that can turn. It has 390 meters view range, which is pretty average for a Tier 9 tank destroyer. Now, if we go to the armor profile here, we will see that this tank appears to be very strongly armored, which it is, but in quotations, and I'll explain that. It has 229 millimeters at the front, 152 on the sides, 102 at the rear. So you're thinking, wow, I have 230 millimeters of frontal armor. This is all 230, right? No, 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 no. You are very mistaken. The piece of armor that is to the left of the gun, which is right here, this little slab of angled armor, that is only 171 millimeters thick, and with its effective thickness varies around 200 millimeters to 220 millimeters, so instantly that is basically an auto pen for tier 9 guns. Next we move over to this little machine gun grenade launcher. This armor on the machine gun port is 228 millimeters, and you're thinking, there we go, there's the meat, but there's a problem with this. It is absolutely flat. So once again, that's pretty much an auto pen for anybody who wants to shoot you. All they gotta do is shoot you in the machine gun, and you're pretty much donezo. Also, the little piece of armor that is surrounding the machine, or I guess the remaining superstructure that surrounds the machine gun, that goes down onto the tracks, that is only 152 millimeters thick, and with its angling, it varies between 200 millimeters and 231 millimeters of armor. So once again, most tier 9 guns can penetrate that. The only tanks that'll have trouble penetrating those spots will be some of the medium tanks that have less penetration, like the M46 Patton, the T54, those sort of tanks. The rest of the armor around the gun is pretty strong. Obviously, under the gun mantlet, you see these flat bits of armor. Those can be penetrated as well. Those are 228 millimeters thick, so you know, if you're wiggling this thing or maybe angling it a little bit like this, because the gun just have a very wide gun arc, then you can maybe pull off some bounces, but obviously there's a bit of an elephant in the room, and that is what we see up here, the machine gun port, the bane of the tortoise. This thing is only 171 millimeters thick, and it is mainly completely flat, and it is very easily seen at all angles, from the rear, from the side, from the front, and all the way around. Its armor does not get better. It actually gets worse as you go around. So this is a definite auto pen for the tortoise if you want to penetrate this thing. That's why, I mean, anything it meets under normal matchmaking can pretty much penetrate this thing in that spot. Now, the 152 millimeters of side armor will lead some players into thinking, let's say they're shooting at you from an angle like this, and they think they have your side armor, but depending on their guns, I mean, this can effectively bounce, like even at this angle, this can effectively bounce, you know, 200, basically all tier 9 and 10 guns. I mean, effectively this is about a 270-degree angle. I mean, if you fire at this, you're going to need 270 pen plus to penetrate this sort of angle. And the tracks are very large, so they can lead to, you know, perma-tracking and stuff like that. But basically, no damaging penetrations to your tank. Now, if you go around to the rear, once again, it's a little bit more of a weird story. It's all 101 millimeters, and it's a little weird because even the machine gun port is 101 millimeters. At the front it's 152, at the rear it's 101. So if you were in an enemy tortoise and you found yourself behind another tortoise, you could load Hesh and penetrate all of this area. Now I will say this is a bit of a troll back, because if you're behind it and you sort of skim the I guess where the engine would be, there's a chance you could bounce because it is well angled, but you probably won't. And there is another problem with this tank in that because it's massive and its top speed is maybe 25 kilometers an hour, so it's definitely not fast, it is a massive RD target. And if we go to the above of this tank, it is only 25 millimeters thick on the on top of the tank, and it is 34 millimeters thick on the engine deck. So if you get hit by RD in the top of your tank or in your engine deck, it's either going to penetrate and give you a lot of problems, or it's going to splash for a very big number. If they're using the 200 millimeter plus guns, you're going to be getting hit for 800 or 900 in these spots. Now, my equipment setup is as follows. This is what I recommend. A large caliber tank gun rammer to get that DPM up, because the DPM is what this tank is for. This is a major support tank, and it can be an attacking tank, but that's iffy on it. Then you want improved vents to help your crew, you know, get that rate of fire up even more, help your crew out with all their skills. Then you want to get toolbox. Now, I chose toolbox because really, this tank doesn't really need any more help. You could maybe use a spall liner for artillery shots, but I think getting a toolbox and being able to repair everything very fast, because this tank is very, very juicy for mediums to circle. So I choose toolbox so I can repair my tracks and all that even faster. Now for crew, I have a base crew in this because I just bought this tank back recently, but I used to have my 183 crew in this. But this is what I would recommend if you were to get this tank. I definitely recommend, first thing you get is repairs. You will definitely need repairs. Next thing I'd recommend obviously would be 6th Sense. And some other perks you might want are going to be clutch braking, off-road driving. You are going to want, where is it? Brothers in Arms, definitely that. There is some other new perks that have been introduced that allow you to put your tracks on faster. Probably under driver. Yeah, track mechanic. The driver is able to repair tracks faster. I definitely get that. Yeah, mainly perks to help out mobility and your crew. You don't really need anything else because this tank isn't easily set on fire or anything like that. And yeah, guys, that is the garage review of the Tortoise. We will now slide into 2 bits of gameplay that I have that were actually back-to-back. So these games are both decent games. They're not my best games in the Tortoise, but they definitely show what I want to show about it. Alright guys, now we're going to be hopping into a game on Fisherman's Bay. Now this game, in terms of score, was not, you know, some amazing like 6,000 or 7,000 damage game. However, this game does show you the potential of the Tortoise and how really you can play to its strengths. But it also does show off some obvious weaknesses like how slow it is. So initially we're going to head over into the town. We've got the, I think this is the south spawn. I don't know how it looks on the map. No, north spawn, my bad. Yes, we got the north spawn, which is pretty good for us because we can get into the town quicker than if we were on the south side. And we can use the buildings better to our effect because we will be sticking our left side of the tank out to shoot, not our right, which means we can keep our tumor hidden. So initially you can already see that we're kind of lagging behind our team a little bit in front of us. The heavies and mediums are way faster than us. And that's probably the most obvious problem about the Tortoise, is that it is very slow. It's by no means T95 slow. T95, if you've been through it like I have, it is just god-awful, really. But this does 20 kilometers an hour, which isn't too bad. It has decent engine power, but, you know, uphill, you'll be very slow. On, you know, soft to medium terrain, you'll be very slow. So this definitely is not a mobile tank. So we're going to go ahead and keep moving on into the city. I thought about trying to engage that Conqueror, but I just simply would not be fast enough to get into any position where I could shoot him. So here we're going to do exactly what I said, and we are just going to stick our gun right out from the side of the building. And this is the nice thing you can do with the Tortoise. This is much like the AT-7, whereby its gun is mounted on one side of the tank. But the good thing about the Tortoise is it has so much gun traverse that it can really stick the gun around corners, and it can turn it a lot right or left for not having a turret. Whereas with the AT-7, you had it tier 7, the gun was very fixed in place, and it was a very niche tank. It needed a niche situation to be very good. So as you can probably see, we've just finished off that poor little Panther that got shot twice by me and once by the ISU. My tank's very high DPM is about to be showing off right here, as this E75, who looks to be stock, just got tracked in front of us by me. And you can just see the DPM here. We've already reloaded, put another one into him. We've put in about 830 damage into him. We put another one into him. Now we're up to over 1,200 damage put into him. And we're about to reload, but our Tiger friend behind us puts one into him. So we're going to keep moving up, and that just showed you how this tank's specialty is singling tanks out. This tank can decimate any other tank in its tier with its just amazing DPM and its extra hit points. Now this VK's on full health. We come up behind him, put one into him. The Tiger puts one into him. I bounce a shot from who knows where, and then we finish him off with a fire. So I'm trying to get out of here because I know there's something on the ridge line behind me. I'm trying to move. I move back, and boom, T-43 takes over 750 damage, and that's from that T-30 that's in the field, and I definitely don't want to be in that spot anymore, so I want to keep moving up. Now, as a little mobile bunker in this sort of situation, playing against tier 7 and 8s, the Tortoise really does shine. Its gun fires very fast, has decent alpha, and because it's so slow, you can just fire on the move. As we finish off the KV-4. Now, those engagements really showed you probably closer to sort of mid-range engagement, but now we're going to be doing a true long to mid-range engagement, about 350 meters on the T-30, and we put one right into him, missing our initial shot. And I'm trying to catch him right here, but it's sort of hard to judge these hills. I hit the turret on the T-30, which I'm not going to penetrate in years. I put in another shot, which somehow dips into the dirt. On Xbox One, it's kind of hard to shoot through grass because the grass is so thick. Put another one into him for 385, and he's turning his turret, he comes back down, and we finish him off. Or we don't, because, once again, shooting through the grass is kind of hard, and yeah. But we finish him off there. And now you're going to see the same problem with the Tortoise I brought up earlier, and that is its speed. The rest of this game, I actually don't shoot anything else simply because I'm not fast enough to get anywhere to get damage. So let's talk about the Tortoise and it's in the current meta of the game. Now, when I had the Tortoise, which was about 9 months ago, back when the British TD line first came out, I absolutely loved it. It was pretty much unkillable. Now, many people knew where to shoot it. Its armor worked very effectively. People weren't slinging premium around as much, like in the current meta. And there weren't anywhere near the amount of tanks that can kill this thing now. Like the Borsig, as an example, wasn't around. None of the none of the tier 10 Russian mediums were around. I don't think the Russians weren't even around. And you could just dominate the battlefield in this thing. But in the current meta of the game, really, this tank has become a bit of an elephant. Because of the amount of premium ammo that's used nowadays in the meta, unfortunately, this tank's armor is easily negated by that, and its slowness doesn't help make up for that. Its gun is still exceptionally good, and for that, I do still like it a lot, but in the current meta, this tank is not what it used to be, unfortunately. But I digress from that. That's just my opinion about the tank. It can still do very well in a lot of different situations. And here in this map, we're gonna pick one up on Wide Park. Once again, we're top tier, which is very good. But I'm a little worried because the number 2 platoon on the enemy team does know who I am. And I know them, so I am looking very forward to possibly killing them. But they are in some very dangerous medium tanks, so I have to watch myself. Now, Wide Park is not a bad map for the Tortoise. You can hide some of its weak spots around corners. And because the gun is a high rate of fire, you can definitely single people out throughout the map using the railroads as cover. So initially, I already see the mediums and lights crawling around the center, trying to get all the spots they can for their artillery. Yep, already missed, just narrowly missed our T-54 actually. Surprised he nearly just killed him. See an E50 on the, or T-54E1 on the ridge. T-54 is going in, and this T-54E1 has committed a little bit too much. And, you know, he realized, I'm pretty much dead. Might as well go and try and kill this T-54. And I'm going to try to help him out a little bit. Going to shoot through the rubble. I narrowly miss him, but this T-54 has it. He is outplaying this guy massively. And we put one into him, finishing him off. And then that's when I realized the E50 has already come over the ridge. So I'm going to start pumping some fire into him. Going to aim at the front of his turret, put one into him, kill him. And this is just the DPM of this tank. You know, we were just able to turn right and left, put fire into people, and already we picked up 2 kills. Now, while they weren't, you know, like amazing kills, it's still 2 kills nonetheless, and it just showed you the rate of fire of the Tortoise and how useful it can be for taking out targets. Now, I see this Waffen Trigger Panther 4 might be getting pushed a little bit, but it seems like he has it, and I'm trying to realize he really doesn't. I didn't expect these guys to start pushing like this, but luckily he and some other friends take out the Tiger, and the other 2 mediums stop their advance. I see the E75 right there, and this is when the armor sort of comes in, when we can almost angle it a little bit. Watch the angle. He doesn't fire at us, but I am very surprised he didn't. And this is when the singling out can come. The Centurion 7-1 pops out thinking he can shoot me, but it's weird, he does not take a shot at me, despite me shooting him. So I'm kind of waiting for him to come out again. He's trying to get up top, see if he can put one into my teammates over there. I'm trying to see if I can put one through his tracks into his hole. I'm telling these guys to follow me, because if they push that E75, I'll be able to help them. So pushing the E75, I put one into the E75, waiting for the Centurion to make a move on me. The Centurion very noobishly slides down. I put one into his bottom plate. I was trying to get his tracks initially, but I realized I wasn't going to get it. And the E75 just died to my left, and now my friends are putting fire into this Centurion 7-1. He's tracked. I put another one into him for 390. He finally puts one into us with his 20-pounder. And we finish him off with our rate of fire. Now this is just cleanup, really. We see the T-29, put one into him, and just the rate of fire of this thing just helps you in these cleanup situations. You can just get kills left and right, finishing off low health enemies. And now we see the T-54. We're going to go ahead and put one into him. We're searching for that shot, and we land it for 401. He's running, trying to kill one of our light tanks, I imagine, but he gets shut down very, very easily. And then this is when I realized, I can't really help this artillery. And as it turns out, I don't really need to, because he is, well, for lack of a better term, he just got outplayed because he left the light tank behind him. But my team is converging on him, and once again, I'm too slow to do anything about this, so I'm pretty much just enjoying the view of a pretty map, looking around, and our team finishes him off. So that was a pretty good game in our Tortoise in terms of kills. Picked up 4 kills in that game, and we picked up 2,400 experience, 50,000 credits, 3,500 damage, blocked a little bit of damage by our own armor, and we finished second on our team next to the T-44. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today, and I hope this maybe sparked an interest for you in the Tortoise. Like I said, in the current meta it's kind of hard to use, but it still is a very fun vehicle to use. And I do recommend it because the FE183 is an absolute gem. And it's pretty troll, so yeah. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you do, just give it a like rating below or give me any feedback. And thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. Peace.